by the filing of an annual notice with the local source and the Star Ledger, newspapers of general circulation within the Township of Union, and posted on the bulletin board of the Township of Union Municipal Building.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Here.
Mr. Cohan?
Here.
Ms. Espinoza?
Here.
Mr. Frayne?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Ms. Perkins?
Here.
Mayor Bowser?
Here.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Here.
Ms. Khan?
Here.
Ms. Kalid? Chairman Lay.
Here. Can we swear in the engineer?
Can you raise your right hand? Swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from September 25th. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Alexander. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza?
Abstain.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Abstain, not present.
Mayor Bowser?
Staying not present.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Abstain.
Chairman Lay.
Yes. We have 4 resolutions on our agenda. The first one is application 2024-07 for Chestnut 367. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Frayne. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Abstain not present.
Ms. Espinoza?
Abstain, not present.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Abstain not present?
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell? Ms. Khan?
Abstain, not present.
Chairman Lay.
Yes. The next resolution pertains to application 2025-10, Drobak 2232, Route 22 East. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Alexander. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza?
Abstain, not present.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Abstain, not present.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Abstain.
Ms. Khan?
Abstain.
Chairman Lay.
Abstain, not present. The next resolution is application 2025-13, PC New Jersey 2500, Route 22. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Seconded?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Frayne. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza?
Abstain.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Abstain, not present.
Chairman Bowser? Mayor Bowser, I'm sorry. Committeewoman Terrell?
Abstain.
Ms. Khan?
Abstain, not present.
Chairman Lay.
Abstain, not present. The last resolution is application 2025-18, Diane Atwell, 17 Astoria Place. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Frayne. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza? Abstain.
Abstain, not present.
Mr. Frayne?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Abstain, not present.
Mayor Bowser?
Abstain not present?
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Abstain, not present.
Chairman Lay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
All right, so there are several items under new business, and just to run through this list very quickly, there is an ordinance that the board will be reviewing. We will then, we do have a couple applications that we will actually hear tonight for our American Landmark and Diana Ewan. There are 3 items that are on the agenda that will end up being adjourned for 811 Chestnut Street, 700 Liberty Avenue, and 1508 Burnett Avenue. If I could start off with 811 Chestnut Street, we have a correspondence from representation. Mr. Hale?
Yes, thank you very much, and we appreciate the board's time and attention. Yeah, unfortunately, earlier this week, our engineer fell and broke his ankle, had surgery on Tuesday, and unfortunately couldn't be here. So we respectfully request that the matter be carried to, I think it's November 17th, without further notice. We apologize, but can't control things like that, and that's odd, not con. He didn't have another representative available to cover his testimony. So,
Well, we hope he gets well soon.
yep, we do too. So,
Okay. Can I get a motion to carry 811 Chestnut Street to the November 17th meeting without further notice?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Perkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Miller. Roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Miller, excuse me. Okay. Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes.
yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. The next application, 2025-17, we haven't had any correspondence with regards to 700 Liberty Avenue. We do have it for an adjournment, so unless there's representation here?
Yeah, actually, we have that.
Oh.
My client is here, and his professionals are here. We said probably won't get reached, but that's an important redevelopment project. If you recall, it's one of the old Bed Bath & Beyond buildings that's being developed by ownership of Kalustyan's on Raway Avenue. So I think Serge is willing to sit here and see what happens, but
Okay.
yeah.
I think the board will likely not hear it tonight.
We've told them, but again, they purchased the property, and I think this board was involved. You actually worked on the redevelopment plan for that property, and look forward to proceeding. If we don't reach it tonight,
Okay.
they're well aware of that, and you're both counsel and Vince let us know that. So appreciate your time.
Great,
So
thank you.
We'll sit tight.
Yeah. And then the other application 2025-16, there has been some correspondence put forth by their representation. Is there representation? Yeah. Please approach.
Good evening. Aileen Brennan with the firm of Prime to Bell and Maselli. We received late yesterday a letter from the township engineer, and there's been some back and forth, and we do have some ongoing talks with the redevelopment attorney and the town as to the redevelopment plan and our plans, and we respectfully request that this be adjourned without further notice, until November 17th.
Okay. All right. Can I get the motion moved, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Khan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes. All right, we have 3 remaining items. I think the first item will be quite short. It's a presentation of the ordinance on Chapter 170-1209, prohibited uses amended, prohibits massage and bodywork services. And I think we'll refer to our engineer.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This ordinance was omitted with the last, inadvertently omitted from when Kristen was here going through a whole list of ordinances. It's something that the governing body wanted to move forward. So it is simply adding the massage and bodywork services, which had been permitted in certain zones, into the prohibited uses, all right? So it's no longer going to be permitted. So it's adding it as a prohibited use in Chapter 170-1209, and then in 2 locations of the code, it's going to be eliminated, one being the definition section, the other being where it had been permitted. So it's simply just prohibiting that use in our zones.
Are there any questions from the board? Questions from the public? Comments from the board? Comments from the public? Oh, please come up. Ma'am, you would just have to approach one of the mics and identify yourself and just provide a comment. Yep.
Christine Williams. Christine Williams.
Christine Williams, okay.
I just wanted to, I'm coming in towards the end of your comment, so I hear massage and, I'm just trying to figure what the whole detail is about.
Do you mean why not?
So
Why is
there-
it not going to be allowed?
Why not or why?
Okay.
I'm just trying to
Just
get
going to
the
clarify.
Yeah,
for him.
so there, in each zone, there are a list of prohibited and permitted uses. So what they're doing is they're making the massage and body works a prohibited use in town. So they're prohibiting that, which means essentially no new applications that allow that. They'll have to go to the Board of Adjustment as a non-permitted use, as opposed to going to the Planning Board as a permitted use. So it's a taller order to get into town if you're not a permitted use.
Okay. Just to get you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any further comments from the public? Hearing none, can I get a motion to concur with the proposed ordinance and refer it back to the Township Committee for final adoption?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Moved by Mrs. Perkins. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Alexander. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes?
Chairman, Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Chairman Lay?
Yes. We have 2 items left. I just had a question for Mr. Hale. Has your traffic engineer?
No, not yet.
Okay. Would you mind if we start with the Diana Ewan, the other application?
Well, we-
It shouldn't-
Well, we have all of our witnesses here to begin, so. What's that? Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to hear the traffic until you hear the site plan, architectural layout, and then our traffic consultant will address that after we lay out. You don't put traffic on before you put your case on. You get your site plan and what's going to be built there. How do you have traffic go before that? I've never seen that in my 40-something years of practice.
Wait, so is the traffic engineer here in attendance right now?
He's not here yet.
Okay.
He's probably looking for a parking space. But I'm telling you,
Speaking- Speaking of,
Be careful of that
frankly,
one.
we have the right to put on our case with the witnesses that we have, that we've prepared for and can present. You don't put the it's like having your planner testify. Well, Mr. Seiger's here. It's like having your planner testify at the beginning of a case before you have the proofs.
Mr. Hale, if he's here, then let's proceed.
Okay.
So I'm going to call your application first, 2025 11 Amended American Landmark. Would you like to proceed in introducing the application, please?
Yes. Let me just give a brief overview of our case. So this is what's been known as Phase 4 of the development of downtown Union. This project, Phase 4, has been received preliminary and final site plan approval. And what's proposed this evening, and I was here at last month's meeting, with just a brief overview of this project, but it's minor amendments to what's been approved by this board. And we're talking about minor amendments. It's adding 38 units. It's providing larger commercial space to increase that commercial space to attract what we believe would be more beneficial commercial tenants in the development. It also helps shield the parking area, which wasn't in the previous 4, from view from Stuyvesant Avenue. It adds an additional floor, which again is encouraged in your amended redevelopment plan to add that additional floor. And I know at some point the development of the corner will be done, and that's important because this goes to work with that ultimate development of the corner property. But so that's an overview of what our application is. As I say, it's a very limited application. We've received the approval from from this board, and also I think the board is aware, because I believe it was at the last hearing when Kristen Russell gave her presentation, that they've actually now expanded the redevelopment area to include the corner of Morris and Stuyvesant. So again, very limited changes that are proposed on this application, and again, essentially the additional units, a larger commercial space, and the blocking and shielding of the parking area. So, all right.
How many total witnesses do you have?
We should have our 4 witnesses. We have our architect, who would go first, our site engineer, our traffic engineer, Mr. Seiger, and our professional planner, Nicholas Graviano. And we have had an opportunity to review the reports from Collier's Engineering and for your fire department, and we'll have no problem addressing any of those comments.
Okay.
So I'd like to start, and I know you want to hear chat, but and I don't think these other witnesses will be that long, because again, it's the project was approved, and these are the amendments, and we're just going to focus on the amendments to the plan that we're seeking. So,
Okay.
Lori, why don't I call upon you first? And we have all the plans and everything to show on the exhibits. And if you want to, I don't know if you want to spin that around, whatever's easier.
Okay.
You're going to be sworn first.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Lori Shabarazi. Last name is Sciabarasi.
Ms. Sabarazzi, will you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. I've held a license for over 25 years. Graduate, can you hear me?
I was going to say, you have
Sorry.
to speak right into
Okay.
that mic.
So I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, where I've been practicing for over 25 years. My office is in Newark, New Jersey, where I'm the vice principal of architecture at Comito Associates, and a graduate of NJIT with a bachelor's degree in architecture.
Board stipulates.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right. Ms. Shabarazi, if you could please take the board through the architectural aspects of the changes from what's presently approved to what's being sought.
Okay.
And I believe if there's any exhibits that have not been previously submitted to the board, we'll mark them as an exhibit this evening.
Okay. Just trying to expand this a little bit. Okay. So this first exhibit is an exterior rendering of the project. This is looking from the north side of the project on the, which is the rear of the building. This small leg here is the expansion area of the footprint that we're proposing tonight. This long wing here is already, that's from the previous approval. Basically, nothing is changing here. We have the covered parking. Previously, the lobby was at this area of the building. We're moving it into the corner of the building just to take it out of the main circulation, pushing it back where it's protected from the weather, a safer drop-off area for residents, and to the left and right of this building lobby entrance, we have amenity space now, expanded amenity space for the residents. So this small piece here that's being expanded, ground floor is basically amenity space. Behind here, there's some commercial space, and the upper area is residential. Also, we've added the 5th story, which I can expand upon more when we get to the floor plans. But basically, it's just the same layout on every floor. And
just briefly, and I know it'll come up when you go over the plans and the engineering plans, but that area is, in my opening, indicated help shield the parking area. Before that building wasn't there and the parking area was visible.
Correct. Right, this space was visibly all open to the adjacent property, which was the old movie theater site, and there's a law office in the back.
Okay.
Sorry, I need my glasses. Okay, so this is the site plan. The two purple buildings are the existing buildings. The one at the top of the page in purple here with the curved shape, front on Bunnell Court, that's what we call Phase 1. The shorter building that faces Stuyvesant Avenue in the purple is Phase 3, and this orange building is Phase 4. This entire building footprint here in the orange was the previously approved plan. This small piece here is the expanded footprint, why we're here tonight for the amendment. Not much has changed here. Covered parking at the back, like I mentioned before, amenity space. We moved the residential lobby into this corner. This expanded area, this face that faces the parking lot side will be more amenity space, and then this is an expansion of the commercial space, which goes out to Stuyvesant Avenue. So like previously, we had about 10,000 square feet of retail commercial space. We're expanding that to about 14,000 square feet of commercial space. And the amenity space has also been expanded by more than 1,000 feet. I think we're up to 2,500 on the ground floor, and we have some other amenity spaces on the upper floors. But this wing you can see that's highlighted here is the portion of the building that will shield this parking from these other adjacent lots. And from the front, we still have our promenade between Phase 3 and Phase 4. So nothing really else, nothing has changed besides that. This is just a blow-up of the floor plan. You could see this purple area again. This on the left side is the amenity space. The right side is the expanded commercial space. In this corner is the residential lobby where we've moved it to. And to the left here, we have, I know one of the questions was about the trash. Our trash holding is all inside. We have a trash chute that goes to all the upper floors. On the upper floors, we've added 5 units per floor, which are within this purple area. Again, lobby is here now. It was in the center of the building. We took it out of the center and just moved it into the corner. Okay, this is the building elevation from Stuyvesant. I'll just expand this a little bit. So talking about the points in Collier's report about the architectural design standards, we're in compliance with the design standards still. Not much has changed. We have the ground floor ceiling heights are a requirement. We have 11 to 12 feet in commercial spaces based on the slope of the property. The upper residential floors, we have 8'10", close to 9-foot ceilings, which are a requirement of the redevelopment plan. Building materials really haven't changed. Ground floor base is cast stone units. The upper floors are a combination of brick and hardy. That top floor is all hardy, which sets it apart. So the building is comprised of the base, the body, and the cap, which is a requirement of the redevelopment plan again. And all faces of the building, all sides are continuous, all the same materials, so the front is not going to look any different than the back or the sides. All the finishes are continuous around the whole building. These are the other elevations, which just show that same bay windows are being used to articulate the building facade so it's not flat. Transparency requirements have all been met, so the architectural design standards have been met. We are not introducing any roof deck or roof terrace. We comply with the flat roof requirement through the design standards. I don't think I have any other more points, Mr. Hale. If anybody has any questions.
Great. Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Questions from the board? Mr. Cohen?
So when we're looking at the elevations from the Stuyvesant Avenue side, are there any portals of egress from the residential space, or is that all commercial?
That's all commercial space.
So the only way the residents from the residential apartments on the upper floors would be to go back to the back of the property and then walk around the building?
Correct.
Was there any consideration given to giving direct street access to the residents?
We have done that on other projects. I don't think that space or that entrance is used too often. We do have the promenade between the two buildings, so that can also be used for pedestrian access.
All right, thank you.
I have another question then.
Mrs. Perkins?
Thank you. Sorry, Joe, I didn't realize. So the proposed commercial space obviously is not planned for yet. It's just only being architecturally presented. Do you know, or will people be able to enter that from the back as well? Certainly not from upstairs, so I'm not coming down for a donut.
Correct.
But can I go in the back? How
There
do I get there?
Yeah, there are rear entrances as well to the commercial spaces. There are obviously entrances from the street side.
But I'd have to come out of my apartment in the cold and go around through the walkway and then go into the front
You
of it.
do. I think it's going to be up to the retailer if they allow people in from the rear. They do have rear entrances so that they can also, get out to the trash for the tenants
Thank you.
for ease of, access there.
Thank you.
Ma'am, where's the loading dock? Loading dock or a loading zone? Where was that?
The loading would be from the parking lot. We
Is it a designated area, is my question? I'm sorry.
we do not have a designated space.
Within this plan, is there a freight elevator then for folks to move their items in or accept
No.
deliveries?
No, we have two large passenger elevators that can be used for deliveries. One could be, keyed off for a time period, but no, there's two elevators in the lobby.
Do you know if a tractor trailer would be able to get through that parking lot?
I'd have to defer to my traffic engineer on
Okay,
that. I know
sure.
we can get the
Okay.
fire truck through the parking
Okay.
lot
All right, thank you.
and a trash vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Miller, do you have it? No. Any other questions? Had a couple questions on my end. The first, actually, for this exhibit here on this page, how many retail spaces are dedicated to the first floor?
We have it broken up into 7 right now, which are flexible depending on, how the space becomes occupied as it's being constructed and leased out. So, but we do have it broken into 7 at the current time.
And is the square footage equal amongst these, or is there variation in square footage for each of the dedication?
Yeah, there's variations.
Can you just summarize in terms of the retail spaces, their square footage? What comprises of that almost 15,000 square feet of commercial space? How does it break down between the 7?
Okay, hold on, I have a chart here someplace. So we have a variety of sizes from 1,400, 1,500, 1,900, 1,300, and then a few larger, 4,000 and 2,500. But typically, what happens is the demising walls usually aren't put up during construction until the spaces are leased out, so the walls could always shift for a bigger tenant or a smaller tenant.
And how would that, how would it affect the doors that you've placed on the frontage, on the front end of the property?
So, worst case scenario is if we needed to add more doors, they could be put in where we have windows. If, we didn't have enough doors, let's say if we were to get more smaller tenants, but, we have a good variety of, I think, of doors here, or amount of doors, but worst case scenario is we can always add a door where a window is.
And with the square footage that you listed, 1,400, 1,500, 1,900, 1,300, can you just kind of give a good feel for the board in terms of what type of businesses would be established in those types of sizes?
Might be.
Just examples.
I think the larger spaces, we probably, and I know even architecturally, we plan for restaurants. So we leave shafts typically through the building if cooking is going to be done and we need to have any type of cooking equipment and ventilation in the building. So we plan for that ahead of time. And the other spaces, it could be food service, it could be, any variety of things. Dry cleaners, a cafe. Really, these are very flexible spaces.
Okay. I want to focus actually on retail number 7 that you have designated on this plan here.
Okay.
It sticks out for me because it's not aligned to the 6 others. So just for my clarity, how would a patron enter and exit out of retail 7?
Right now, they would enter from the parking lot side, which is the north side of the building. There's doors shown there.
Facing Bonnell Court, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. With the idea that 6 and 7, or a portion of 6, could be expanded, so these spaces could be combined. Because in between each one of these, we show dashed lines, which is where walls could be if they needed to be. But 6 and 7 could clearly be combined, or a portion of those. You'll see on 6, we have 2 sets of doors that go out to Stuyvesant. So a wall could be added right down the middle of retail 6, and that could be combined to retail 7. So that could be expanded.
Could be expanded, but as you indicated right now, the only way to get into retail 7 is through the area that is facing Bonnell Court.
At this time,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Building height. Can you remind us what is the building height of this application?
Yes, this application, the building height is 66 feet 6 inches, which is permitted under the ordinance. The amended redevelopment plan allows for a 5th story and a building taller than 60 feet. If you front on Stuyvesant Avenue, you have more than 2,500 square feet of amenity space, which we do, and more than 7,500 square feet of commercial space, which we do.
And just as a frame of reference, I'm not sure if you have this number off the top of your head. How does it compare to Phase 1 and Phase 3? The building heights.
Height?
Are they the same as Phase 1 and Phase 3?
I'm sorry, the building height?
Yes.
Oh, yes. It's probably almost exactly the same as Phase 1. It's 5 stories, and I think our floor-to-floor heights are pretty much identical. Phase 3 is 4 stories, so I think with the parapet, I think that was 60 feet or close to 60 feet, so this may only be like 7, 8 feet taller.
Okay. The reason why I ask about building height and comparison with Phase 1 and Phase 3, more so with Phase 1 and a little bit with Phase 2, is that I know now with having basically two 4 to 5 story buildings opposing one another, sometimes as you have taller buildings right against each other across the street, you can have this canyon effect. I'm sure you're well aware of this as an architect. With having two tall buildings like that, what are reasonable measures that you would have to mitigate a lot of those effects due to the canyon effect?
So I know what you're referring to on Phase 1 and Phase 5. That street right-of-way is 50 feet. So those two buildings basically are 50 feet apart, face to face. Here, for the majority of the distance between Phase 4 and Phase 1, the building is 90 feet apart. The two faces of the buildings are 90 feet apart, except for this one back corner, which is, I think it's 50 feet 9 inches. That's the distance at this one, corner. So there's actually more space between these two buildings, Phase 1 and Phase 4, than there is between the Phase 1 and 5 building on Bunnell.
I guess to kind of drill down a little bit is that in the area between Phase 1 and Phase 4, because both of them are the same height, around 4 to 5 stories, what is the potential for that area just to be undershaded or under diminished lighting for an extended amount of time throughout the day?
Well, the sun will be moving obviously from east to west, which is the right side of the drawing down around. So when the sun is high in the sky, you're still going to you still will have sunlight in between these two buildings. Like I said, you're going to have twice the amount of space between these two buildings that you have on the Bunnell Court Street right now.
So if I posed to you maybe if the sun was, let's say, on the east side
Right, here.
up here,
Mm-hmm.
to what extent, and obviously you don't have a calculator or whatever right now, but approximately how much of that parking lot would be shaded?
We'd have to do a study to actually, show you that. But this is twice as wide as any street frontage, including Stuyvesant. Let me just see what's the right-of-way on Stuyvesant? I don't know off the top of my head. $86 feet. So the distance between these two buildings will still be larger than any two buildings that front on Stuyvesant. And I believe there's sunshine on Stuyvesant Avenue in between what I'll call Phase 2, at the Rite Aid property and this building.
Also, a part of the canyon effect is the potential, I want to say, like the containment of noise within that area as well. Can you describe in terms of the material of the buildings and ensuring that whomever would reside in these buildings would not have their quality of life be affected by amplification of noises within that parking lot area?
Well, the only activities I really see going on out there's no green space right in the center there where the buildings are closest to each other. It's parking. So I don't know how much noise. I don't think the amount of cars here is going to generate that much noise.
And then lastly, just to go back on the whole sunlight shading, is there any scenario in which the sun is oriented in a way where shade is casted onto the parking lot from both Phase 1 and Phase 4?
At the same time?
At the same time.
I don't think so. No, I think the sun, will be coming up on this corner of Phase 4. So as it moves around, it's going to come over Phase 1, I'm sorry, Phase 4, Phase 3, and it's going to work its way over here to this open side of the site.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay.
Great.
Mr.
Thank you,
Hale,
Mr.
any-
Chairman. Thanks, Clerk. I'd like to now call upon our site engineer, Darrell Alvarez. Darrell?
Sir, can you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Darrell Alvarez, A-L-V-A-R-E-Z.
Mr. Alvarez, would you raise your right hand?
He's a regular.
You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, Mr. Alvarez, I know you've testified before this board on many occasions, but if you could briefly give the board and the public the benefit of your credentials.
I am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I'm a registered architect in the state of New Jersey. I've been practicing architecture and engineering for over 40 years. I graduated with an engineering degree from Vermont, University of Vermont. I have a master's from NJIT. I am the vice president of engineering for Comito Associates, and my licenses are active and current, and as you said, I've been here many times before.
Board stipulates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, Mr. Alvarez, I know there's minimal site changes from an engineering standpoint, but if you could briefly take the board through that and address any items that required testimony under the Collier's review letter.
Well, that's correct. There's very minimal changes that are done to the site plan that require engineering concerns. The site, again, has the same circulation coming in from Vanell. You have a interior parking lot that wraps around. We have not changed yet. It's exactly the same way it is. The site coverage, we have 95% impervious. That happens to be exactly the same as the original plan we had previously approved. What happens is that new addition is actually occupying an area that was paved over, so there's no increase with the impervious surfaces. There currently is a stormwater retention system that's already in place that accommodates the entire lot as built out as shown. So there really isn't any engineering concerns, and it's a fairly simple application here. With regards to the layout, Mrs. Shabarazi went over all that, explaining where the entrances are, the court area. So basically, that's the engineering comments I have. I reviewed Collier's engineering report. I have no concerns of what he has indicated on the report. We will comply to all of his comments, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
And in particular, that includes grading and drainage in item 5 on page 8, and sanitary sewer also on page 8 in item
Yes.
6. Great. I have no further questions of Mr. Alvarez at this time.
Questions from the board?
I have a very practical question, sir. The parking lot will be maintained and by the building owner, I assume.
The owner would be
Yeah.
maintaining the parking lot, yes.
May I ask a practical question? How will you remove snow and ice? Well, ice we can melt. Snow we got to get rid of.
Snow will be moved to an area. There's a couple areas within the site. You have an area over in this area, in this corner over here, where you can plow the snow into that area, you stockpile and let it let it melt like you would in any parking lot.
Yeah, I can't see, my vision. Is that area sufficient to still allow parking during those times of storm?
Yes, it will.
Snowstorm? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's a very practical question, but I think you're
No,
practical.
makes sense.
Your
It's
answer
important
was
when it
practical.
snows.
Thank you.
Any,
So all the cars would have to be out of there for it to be plowed?
That is always a concern with any parking lot. You're going to have cars parked there. It's going to be a coordination with the maintenance people of the units, and they'll have to work around them or set up some scenario where they'll get part of the parking lot cleared out when they do the plowing.
It's a task.
Excuse me?
It's a task.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Mr. Frayne, did you have a question?
We have fire department connections in the front of the building as required. And the building's going to be fully sprinklered, and that complies to your ordinance. And we'll have the traffic engineer testify about the circulation of the fire truck. He did an analysis of that and reviewed the maneuverability of the fire truck and a garbage truck.
Any further questions from the board? Mr. Donavik?
Mr. Alves, just one question regarding the stormwater. Were you the engineer on this site previously for other phases?
Well, the phases, yes.
Okay. Your design is based on a 2-inch per hour percolation. I know we're going to do perk tests on site. Previously, on all the soils are similar out there,
Yes.
and you've gotten that perk previously?
Yes, I believe when we initially put in the retention system for the for the building on Bunnell Street, we did perk tests, and I think they were submitted to the city.
Okay. So you feel comfortable we're going to be,
Yes, I do.
okay. Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Mr. Cohan?
So, even though this is not proposed, I'm curious, would there be any engineering concerns or restrictions should there be an elevated parking deck built above the current surface parking? Are there structural issues that would preclude that?
You're talking about a single deck over the open parking area that's there now.
Single or multiple?
It's feasible. The problem with that is the ramp portion of it takes up a significant amount of that parking lot. To get it up there so it's not a attendant parking where people can go up there and drive themselves. So you're going to lose a significant amount of parking by elevating that structure just for the ramp to come up. So while it's feasible, it isn't practical.
Thank you.
How many parking spaces would be gained by such an elevated unit, though? So, speculatively. I can understand the ramp process very well, but if in fact there's a whole second deck, wouldn't that offer an awful lot more parking?
So,
I would
Mrs.
say you're looking
Perkins?
around 60 spaces.
6 would be good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But again, you also have to realize too, when you put up that second deck, from the first floor down, now you're covering that first floor. So whatever amenities or whatever you have down there, now, it's less of an attraction, because now you have this parking deck in front of it. So that's another reason why it's not that feasible.
Any other further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay, we have no further questions.
Great. I'd now like to
Thank
call
you.
upon Joseph Steiger, our traffic engineer, and we appreciate the board letting us put. I thought it would be helpful if we heard someone about what was being built and the engineering aspects. So, Joseph Steiger.
I'm sorry, Mr. Steiger, can you spell your last name for the record?
Yes. Joseph Steiger, S-T-A-I-G-A-R.
Steiger, do you raise your right hand? Would you swear the testimony about to gives the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Steiger, again, I know you've testified before this board on many occasions, but again, if you could confirm your credentials and licenses.
Yes, I have a Bachelor of Science and Master of Science degree, Civil Engineering, New Jersey Institute of Technology, where I've also been an adjunct professor of traffic engineering courses. I also a professional planner, but I'll be here tonight as a professional engineer specializing in traffic engineering, of which I've testified before this board, I'd say at least 24 times in the past, but throughout Union County and throughout the state of New Jersey.
Board stipulates.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. All right, Mr. Steiger, I know you prepared a traffic study and evaluated the site. If you could please give an overview of the findings and comment, including site circulation.
Yep. I think Mr. Alvarez pointed out the changes are relatively minor, and I would consider them insignificant in terms of having any impact. First of all, we took a look at how much traffic. Well, the big difference between what was approved and what's being proposed tonight, there's 38 additional units that are being proposed, and the question would be, well, what impact does that 38 units have? Using the same trip generation that we use for the rest of the development, using the Institute of Transportation Engineers, 38 units would generate 18 trips maximum in any peak hour. And access to the site will be from Bunnell Court, and Bunnell Court is a one-way going from, I guess it would be north to south or east to west, and exit out to Johnson Place, and entering from Morris Avenue. So once you get to the access points, it's dispersed in two other directions. So for example, going out to Johnson, you can either make a left to go to the circle or a right back to Morris Avenue, where there's a traffic signal for further leaving the site. So there's good dispersion in that aspect. And what we're talking about, what would be leaving the site, is one vehicle for every 42 seconds of time through the hour, and relatively minor in terms of having any type of impact. Not 42 seconds, it would be much less than that, probably 3 minutes, one for every 3 minutes, I should say, in that order of magnitude. So again, just give you in layman's terms how insignificant the 38 units would generate. We had done capacity analyses at the two ends of Bunnell Court, and we're in good level of service of A and B. And levels of service range from A to F, and that A-B range, just as in grade school, is a good condition of fairly free flow in terms of being able to make the maneuvers. So the impacts would be minimal, if not negligible. The second big aspect is parking, and how is the parking going to be accommodated as well? What we have with the additional 38 units is a need for, just to go through my notes here. I want to make sure I got the right numbers. 199 parking spaces for the three phases that we're looking at. Phase one requires 80 spaces. Well, it's 1 per 1 for the residential. So whatever number of units are in each phase, you need the same number of parking spaces. We are providing 199. I'm sorry. We're required to have 199 spaces. We're providing 130 on site. So the question is, where is the other 69 parking spaces to get us back up to 199 spaces? And of that, the applicant has control, he owns, the Phase 5 project, which I don't know if I can point to it, is in the, I'll say right in the inner circle to the top of the page. In that site, on that site, in that development, there are 22 spaces in excess of what's required for Phase 5. In addition to that, there are lands to the, I'll call it, to the north of the site. The buildings, existing buildings, and existing municipal parking lot, of which he'll have control over as well. There's an office building to the north side, parking lot to the south side. Office building has 23 parking spaces, and the municipal lot to be controlled by the applicant will have 37 parking spaces. So 22 plus 23 plus 37 gives you 82 spaces. We only require 69 to meet the requirements for the parking.
And Mr. Steiger, I assume, based upon what you just testified to, and I'm looking at the top of page 7 of the Collier's report, where they say that based upon the 130.82, it says the minimum parking requirements are exceeded and the peak parking demand will be sufficiently accommodated. So I assume you concur with that?
Yes.
That conclusion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that exactly, yeah. We came to basically the same conclusion in our amendment to our traffic study that we did that analyzed the parking, and then Colliers, through their review, confirmed and/or came up with the same conclusion as well, that we actually exceed the amount of parking that's required per the redevelopment plan.
Okay. And if we could touch on perhaps site circulation and other aspects.
So site circulation, as you can see, access is from Bunnell Court, come into the parking lot, circulate throughout the parking lot. The parking lot has 24-foot aisles, which is typical of a parking layout. It technically can accommodate a tractor trailer, but we don't anticipate any tractor trailer movements on this site. And in fact, your redevelopment plan states that tractor trailer loading docks and circulation aspects are not required for tractor trailers if the a single retail unit is less than 10,000 square feet. These will be less than 10,000 square feet. So again, we are in compliance with the redevelopment plan as well. I think the more important aspect is, can the fire truck get into the site? Can the garbage truck get into the site? In other words, service vehicles, other delivery vehicles, they certainly can. And the circulation plan that we provided to the board and to your engineer indicates that. We use the fire truck from the Union Fire Department, the actual specifications, wheelbase and turning radii and so forth, to make sure that the circulation for that fire truck can be accommodated.
And again, you concur with any of the comments that are set forth in the Collier's letter? Any problem complying with any of those terms?
No, not at all. I think there were some comments that that the Collier's letter wanted some discussion about certain aspects of it, trip generation impacts and
Which
so
you've
forth.
touched
I think
on.
I provided that, and it didn't hit it point by point, but if there aren't any further explanation or answers, I'll certainly be happy to give.
Thank you. I have no further questions of Mr. Steiger at this time.
Questions from the board? Committeewoman?
So, speaking about Johnson, and you said the traffic, that additional traffic, it'll be one car every 3 minutes?
Yes.
Do you know what it is now, the traffic that flows through Johnson? So this will be one additional car to what is flowing through
Right.
there now?
The volume on Johnson is 400 two-way, 400 vehicles per hour in the morning and 500 vehicles. And I'm rounding off 500 vehicles per hour. So this additional traffic from 38 units would add 18. Actually, less than that, because even in the morning peak hours and the afternoon, some of the traffic will be coming into the site off of Morris, won't even touch Johnson, and only in the morning would be the exiting movements that would go out to Johnson. The important aspect, again, to evaluate the impact is that the traffic volume on Johnson is at least 100 vehicles per hour less in the morning peak hour than the PM. Obviously, in the morning, residents will be leaving out to Johnson when Johnson is lower. In the evening, minimal traffic will be coming out of the site to leave out onto Johnson. So it kind of works nicely, the roadway network in that sense.
Yeah, Johnson is really busy. So
Yep,
any
it is.
addition is, So, all right, thank you. And then with regard to the parking, so you said the Phase 5, there's 22 spaces that, are they currently available, or will they be available once Phase 5 is completed?
Well, once Phase 5 is completed, they will be available.
So these units will be built before Phase 5 is completed? So
I'm sorry, say that.
The parking, right? The 22 spaces that you said would be available during Phase 5? Additional?
Yes. Phase 5 has, and I don't know the exact number, but Phase 5 has a specific number of parking spaces that it's going to be built on that. What it is, there's 22 spaces in excess of what's required in Phase 5. So that excess of 22 spaces can be utilized to accommodate the 69 that were deficient on this property.
But they won't be available until Phase 5 is complete?
That's correct, yes.
Okay,
Yes, and be
Okay.
condition of approval that it be phased appropriately as well.
okay.
Because we wouldn't want to see this Phase 4 built before Phase 5 is finished.
No.
Okay,
Actually, just to clarify, Phase 5, including the complete parking garage, will be finished in approximately a month.
oh, okay,
So that will be in place long before
okay.
Phase 4. Probably need to get started.
Before resolution is
Yeah.
adopted.
And then one last question. I know the question about tractor trailers came up, and we don't anticipate tractor trailers being there, but what about box trucks? And what's going to be the impact to the parking if the retail spaces are having deliveries during the day?
Yes, well, what we showed was how the movement of the garbage truck, one larger single-unit garbage trucks can circulate the site, which is going to be equal to or greater or larger than box trucks that are be doing their deliveries. The Amazon trucks, the typical box trucks that would be bringing product, let's say, into the retail. Even the movement, these types of units, typically 1 and 2 bedroom, use U-Hauls, and they're much smaller trucks, obviously, than maybe the box trucks that we see.
Yeah, I guess my question is, where are they going to park?
Yes, that's what, we don't have a specific loading dock on this site, but during the day, when the residents, not all of them, but at least half of them are out doing what they're doing during the day, whether they're working on weekdays or whether they're out running errands and shopping elsewhere on weekends, empties out the parking lot. So what will happen is, if there is a specific delivery, let's say Unit 101, they're moving out that day, management will go down and make sure that those, a certain amount of parking spaces, let's say 2 or 3 parking spaces, are coned off and utilized for that moving vehicle. So moving is pretty easy because they're scheduled. Typically, the tenant will provide the information, or will get a reservation, I'll call it, for those parking spaces from management. In terms of deliveries, more or less the same thing. They'll use a parking space or a series of parking spaces to stage there, and whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, empty out their vehicle, their truck, and load up whatever product is there. So it's going to be during the day when much of the parking spaces are going to be empty and accommodate that activity.
And I might add that, and our planner could touch on this too, there's already 187 residents, I believe, there now, and in the other phases, and it works fine.
Are the spaces going to be assigned to the residents? Will they have assigned parking?
Yes. Yeah. And again, I believe that's also 1, 2, and 3, and 5.
Mr. Chairman, can I, yeah, if you don't mind. Joe, I know you've been doing this for a long time, and I struggled when I was doing the review because this shared parking ordinance that the township has, and what actually occurs out there don't seem to line up, right? We have a lot of residents that indicate that there's no parking out there in this vicinity, and they have a lot of difficulty. So approving an application that's deficient 69 parking spaces has raised some level of concern. Now, if we use the shared parking analysis and you say there's 400 some odd parking spaces within this zone, you come up with a number that says that there's parking. But I think that the question that keeps being asked to me from board members and other folks familiar with this project is, where are those spaces really? One of the things that I struggle with is we're looking at the adjoining lot, which is in what's considered phase 6. That lot's kind of being utilized now to a certain degree. So, but we're going to count that as part of the parking requirement. We're talking about a parking garage that has a certain amount of spaces open, but that's being looked at for many other people to be utilizing that. So from a practical standpoint, I know what the ordinance says, and I know how the calculations are done. I'm wondering if in practice, if we were to go out there, can we really identify 69 spaces in the area that are open? And I know that's kind of a vague question, but it leads me to another question. I'm going to take advantage of your knowledge here a little bit. When I ask you, have you run into shared parking ordinances that are similar to this? And do you see that in practicality, when you look at the area outside of this site, whether they work?
I'd have to say yes. I have utilized and seen shared parking arrangements as your ordinance points it out. I think Bloomfield is one that utilizes it, and some other towns, and it does work. But I think, so if I understood looking at it from a shared parking analysis, we don't need a variance, we don't need any, we're not deficient. And what we've, I think, taken it a step further, saying that, okay, we are 69 short of what your ordinance requires, the 1 per 1 for residential. Do we have that total of 199, including the 69? And we can provide those. So I don't know if that answered your question, because I think what your other portion of your question is, well, if we're relying on those other lots and people are parking there today, and now they're going to be displaced to allow for the 69 parking spaces for the residents, where are they going to go? Is that your question?
It kind of is, because we keep moving around the parking. Like when Phase 6 gets approved, you're taking out all the parking that's on there, and where's that going?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Now, that's
so you
yes.
keep moving the parking around. I think
Yeah.
that the folks in this town have been displaced from their traditional parking many times and are struggling to find parking. And it's just not isolated to this area. I think this is very much a town issue, but this is another application that comes in front of this board with parking deficiencies that are saying we're going to solve it through some shared, and a lot of people are saying that it's kind of voodoo mathematics that we're using here to come up with parking. And I can't really point to the spot for each one of those 69 cars. Where are they going to park? And then they say, what about their guests? What about the retail spaces? I mean, there's more than just the 1 for 1 that could realistically be needed that is really concerning to this board and others that I've spoken with. So, and I think that the administration is trying to tackle it with some of the studies they're trying to do, but I think the board struggles with an approval of this application because they don't necessarily see, is there anything you could do to give them comfort with your knowledge that these 69 spaces are there, are physically going to be there? There's a lot of, will be there, but it won't be there, and then they'll be over here, and then it'll be over there. So there's almost a leap of faith that they're asking for here. So I just ask you to kind of go through it one more time with as much specificity as you possibly can.
Yes. And so the 69 spaces are the three locations. They're going to be in Phase 5, of which there's an excess of 22.
Mhm.
They're going to be in the office building that's off Bunnell that the applicant owns. It's not going to be an office building or require parking for the office. It'll be utilized for parking for this phase. And then you have the municipal lot as well. So after Phase 4 is finished, you and I will be able to go out, and here are the 69 spaces that will be utilized by I say we'll be able, they're real spaces. They're actually going to be on the ground and available to the Phase 4 residents. When Phase 6 happens, I agree with you, they get taken away, and now we're back to the deficiency for Phase 4, but that will be dealt at the time when Phase 6 comes before this board.
But here's the argument that I get a lot. You're saying that you're using that whole parking lot for Phase 4 that's in Phase 6 right now, but there's parking there currently.
Yes.
So what happens to the people who are there currently? So are those really spaces that are available to 4 if they're currently parked up now?
It's a point of who's going to be allowed to park there. If the applicant goes through the process to purchase that parking lot from the municipality, he has the right to use it for however he needs to use it.
Right.
And if the need is for Phase 4, he'll need it for Phase 4. And I think it's something that he has to work with the town. Okay, but the town lose those spaces for the public, where are they going to park? I don't have the answer to give you at that point, but that's where this motion is going, and before this board, that parking lot will be utilized for.
Right.
For.
So I just have trouble, and I understand the math, and I understand what the ordinance says, but when someone practically comes to me and says, well, by the time this is under construction, Phase 6 is going to be getting approved, so they're being taken away. So by the time you're trying to occupy these, the Phase 6 spaces really aren't there. So what are we doing? Where are they going next, right? And so we're counting something that, if everything goes well for the developer, is really not going to be there by the time occupancy is there.
Yeah.
So, do they have to come back in front of the board and prove that they have those so many spaces before they're allowed to take away the spaces?
Well, or it can be a condition of this approval that those 69 spaces be provided for Phase 4 at either there or somewhere else.
Right. I mean, it would almost, I think there'd be more of a comfort level, and I don't want to speak for the board anyway, if we were able to designate 69 parking spaces within a certain radius, and these are exclusively for this building, right? And I know that's a difficult task, but if you have it, when Phase 5 is open, whether that means that we're putting 69 in there, or you only have 22 extra, or you can designate these somehow,
Yeah.
I think that would go a long way. And that if they were to get taken away, it would have to come back in front of that board and be replaced with something.
Right. But I think that can be handled during the application for Phase 6. I mean, those 69 spaces will be there and won't be lost until Phase 6 is approved and construction start. But the process to get Phase 6 approved will be before this board, and at that time, the question is, well, what are you going to do with the 37 parking spaces and the 23 and the 22?
Right. So realistically, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this from a time frame perspective. Assuming approval today, break ground in the spring, right? 2 years before they need these 69 parking spaces, right? Before you have occupancy, right? Is that a fair time frame, just for the argument's sake? So in 2 years, we'll need those. I believe that hopefully, this developer has approval on Phase 6 and has taken those out, right? So those 69, they're definitely not there at the corner. That's under construction as well, right? And I think that would be as ideal. So I think we need to find at least those spaces as well to give comfort that there are really spaces for the people when they need them, right? And this may not be an argument for today, but it's an argument before this building gets occupancy that you have a problem. And it may be 2 years from now that you have a problem, but I believe that if things go well for the developer, which I think everybody wants, you're going to have a parking problem at some point here when you have two of these under construction at the same time. And there will be overlap. And you will be, spaces that you're counting today will not be there when you need them. So I think that's part of the issue, practical issue, that we're counting stuff that's not going to be there, that we need to know where are they going to be. And I'm sure Phase 6 is going to have its challenges too. I'm going to have to make that accommodation. But I think the board is trying to draw a line saying we need real answers, not answers, like, don't worry, it's going to happen. Or yeah, it's someplace out there. I think we need a little bit more concrete. Where is that? And if that means, can we mark them off someplace on a plan? Can we mark them off some way, or have some kind of condition that they're there at a certain point? I don't know what I've been wrestling with this and talking to board members and trying to figure out what that answer is. So anything you could do. I think you understand my concern at this point.
Absolutely, and it makes a lot of sense. But I don't think we need to determine where those 69 spaces are going to be when Phase 6 is developed at this point in time, but determine it when Phase 6 comes before this board. Where are they going to be when construction starts? And then it's the timing of the two phases, Phase 4 and Phase 6 as well, to make sure, because if Phase 6 is being constructed while Phase 4 is not occupied, yes, where are those 69 spaces? They can't happen at the same time, the two phases. And I think that answer really can be brought up at the Phase 6 application hearings. I don't know. I don't think it needs to be done before the Phase 4, because we're guaranteeing that the 69 spaces are going to be there, and we can show you on paper in the field, there are the 69 spaces. It's not until 6 happens.
And you're confident that Phase 5 parking is going to be available within the next month or so?
Within a month, yes.
Yeah.
Within a month. And those are 22 of the spaces that are right across the street.
Reserved for Phase 4.
Yeah. If anybody at the board or you need to see where those spaces are talking about, we have them up on the plan.
I think that's an exhibit that should probably be, is that A2?
So Phase 4 is down here. This is the corner, the new corner. Here's the parking space at the building on Bunnell. Back here, the 23 spaces, and the 37 spaces are in this currently municipal lot that'll be acquired by the applicant. So
But-
they're right next door of each other.
But those are not,
Yes.
Yes.
Joe, is there an agreement with the town, because that is a town lot currently?
That's what I believe, yes.
Yeah. We're working on that, yes.
So there's no
Okay.
agreement at this
Is that
point?
something you're trying to work on so that
No,
they can have
It's just a
exclusivity?
matter of the paperwork for it.
So there's exclusivity there for Phase 4?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's something that's being negotiated with the town?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have right now. I just wanted to tell you what some of the stuff that I'm sure there's going to be additional questions regarding it. Thank you.
And just one other, that, as part of that parking lot, we need to improve, the applicant is taking on the responsibility to improve that parking lot, because at the present time, it's not in good condition at all.
Further questions from the board?
Oh, I've got lots of questions.
Mr. Cohan?
So I have a threshold question first. In your expertise, in your experience, how often does the predicted trip generation and flow vary from reality?
Here in New Jersey, it's conservative because the trip generation rates are based on rates either very regional, I'll say the Midwest or the Northeast, if not national. So it's throughout the country. And when you think about where we are in the most densely populated state in the United States, we have trains, bus service, we have Ubers, we have the ability to utilize mass transit and other forms of commutation and transportation than, let's say, in more rural or heavily suburban areas and states as well. What we've done, and particularly for multifamilies, we've went after the fact. So we were up here telling board members, oh, you'll see 20 cars in, 40 cars out. Go out after it's built and go count. Consistently, we found it actually being lower than when we use those ITE rates. And the reason being is, I think because in New Jersey we have those other opportunities for other forms of transportation that you don't have in most other states.
All right, some other other questions regarding traffic and flow. Do you have an opinion regarding how easily it's going to be for cars traveling westbound on Morris Avenue to turn left into Bunnell Court?
How easily it's going
Right.
to
I mean,
be?
there's significant traffic on Morris Avenue. It's a state highway.
Yep.
Currently, there's no turn signal at that intersection. Is there going to be a backup because of the density in this development on Morris Avenue, in the left lane of Morris Avenue westbound, with cars trying to turn into this development?
One of the difficulties of Morris Avenue, and I travel it quite often, is 2 lanes in each direction. Once somebody wants to make a left somewhere, that closes down that left lane. And now you got people jockeying in and out of the right lane. That's a common nature of what Morris Avenue is. Is this going to make it easier? No, it's not going to make it easier. We're going to make it more difficult. Anytime you increase traffic, yes, there's going to be have more difficulty of getting on those roads. I was not part of the redevelopment plan. Redevelopment plan allows for this development and took into account what the effects and impacts would be on the roadway. So at that point in time, that question was answered. And with this application, we're just utilizing the redevelopment plan as our basis or our guidelines of what we should be developing here. So I can't answer that question because I didn't specifically study it, but I have to tell you, it's not going to be easier with this development, but then you have to weigh the benefits and whatever detriments there are of allowing for this development. I believe all that has been vetted out with the development of the redevelopment plan.
Another question regarding traffic. Did your analysis take into account, study, consider any kinds of backups on Johnson Place for people turning right out of Bunnell Court or left out of Bunnell Court? So the number of vehicles that could stack up, backed up to the red light at Morris Avenue or to the stop sign at the Circle going in the other direction?
No, the queuing analysis, no, we just did what happens at that intersection of Johnson and Bunnell. So how the lefts or rights could be made, but the queue lengths coming from Morris Avenue or from Johnson, I'm sorry, from the Circle, let's say, I did not look at, no. And the only response I have to that, again, that should have been, or it was vetted out when the redevelopment plan was established. The one thing that the redevelopment plan says is that no access shall be provided through Stuyvesant Avenue. That just leaves Bunnell. So we were given that requirement when we were given the redevelopment plan to prepare the plan that's before you. So again, we didn't establish that rule, that standard in the redevelopment plan. It was given it to us, and they said, this is what you have to do. And that's what the plan has. And one other point about, I would rather see any backups happen on Bunnell than Stuyvesant Avenue due to traffic movements and driveways on Stuyvesant also. So this, the lesser of the two evils, this certainly is than other access points.
All right, one last question.
Okay.
My understanding is that, unless it's already changed, that currently there's parking allowed on Bunnell Court.
Yes,
But that-
or there had been, I'm not sure if today, I didn't go by today, but I know there was a movement to get rid of the parking on Bunnell.
Correct. So that would further exacerbate the parking need in this general area.
Well, that's something that, I mean, Bunnell Court's a municipal road. I mean, we have no rights to do
Understood.
anything. That's up to the municipality, and either way, it works for us, so. It's a one-way, so could we allow one lane of traffic and 2 lanes of parking? I think a lot better than if it remained two-way, so.
I don't have any further questions right now, thank you.
Mr. Steiger, it's my understanding that the existing parking that is now on Bunnell Court may come from the fact that as we are building the Centurion building as well as the parking deck, the people who occupy the current Centurion on Bunnell were allowed to use 19 spaces in what used to be our flat senior center parking lot. It may be, it's my speculation, that those cars have no place to go, and therefore they're using that, which could explain some of the problem. I'm hoping that when we complete and do this full redevelopment, that those kinds of issues won't continue to exist when we're still talking about shared parking. All right, that's my question.
Okay.
That was one statement. Now, the second portion that I wanted to ask you about is the parking layout was assessed based on accepted design standards and demanded experience at similar developments. Can you name or show a pictorial rendering of some of those developments that this was based on?
Where are you reading that from? Our report?
Your report, sir. It's,
Okay, that sounds familiar.
yes, it is point 3 under how you explain the methodology, analysis, and findings. The parking layout and supply was assessed based on accepted design standards, which of course we know, and demand experienced at similar developments. Is there a similar development to this that you have used? And can you tell me where it might be, and I could look at it myself?
It was talking about the parking. Can you show me?
Of course, I'm sorry.
No.
It's on page 1. It's the last sentence on page 1.
Yes. Well, we are in compliance. Our layout of our parking lot is in compliance with the RSIS, which is a
Yes.
statewide standard, as you know. So anything similar, this is similar to at least 99% of all the developments of a similar residential nature.
So in fact, you didn't use anything that could be identified for our understanding?
Wow, I
A
can't.
town, a place, a space?
You're saying actual developments?
Possibly. It says similar developments. I don't know of any similar developments. I live in Union.
Yeah, yep. Well, we've done traffic studies of the developments in Jersey City and in cities that are much more intensely developed, higher buildings, and layouts, tighter layouts and so forth. So I can certainly, I can't do it on the spot here today.
Of course,
of
I understand.
Examples that look like exactly like this, but the way they operate are very similar in terms of access to them, circulation in the parking lot. Talking about, do they have loading docks? Do they need loading docks? As Mr. Hale pointed out, the other development, the other buildings, Centurion and all that are operating without loading docks work very well. And we've seen that throughout in the multifamily developments as well, because the loading and the moving of the tenants happen during the day when the parking lot is, let's say, half full. and you have that ability to use that space, rather than have an empty loading dock somewhere that sits 99% of the time just empty pavement. So it's a much more efficient way of utilizing the parking lot. So in that sense, it's very similar to many other developments that are of the same relative nature that's being proposed.
I understand. Well, there's also an area of the, which has not been addressed at all relative to the commercial space, only these possible sizes and the flexibility portion. Do we know what kind of commercial space will be there? Because there is zero parking allowable. We have zero parking planned for those new commercial, beautiful spaces that everybody's going to want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a concern to me, sir.
Well, I foresee that this is going to be a comprehensive retail center in aspect. So it'll operate where you're not just going to one store, but you utilize the whole, and that's the whole, I believe, the whole purpose of the redevelopment plan and the design, that you want walk-in traffic, you want pedestrian movements, you want this to be your town center. And,
I agree.
And in order to do that, you need to densify and concentrate, particularly the retail, so you go from one store to the next, and it becomes a nice pedestrian
I
thoroughfare.
totally agree, and I want this to be wonderful. Would you speculate, or can you help me speculate? Would I need to walk a quarter of a mile from these shared parking spaces to get to the center, to go to a restaurant there?
Can I just like
Or
to add
less?
one, sorry for interrupting.
Sure, that's
But in the parking garage in Phase 5, there's 105 public parking spaces that would, if someone wanted to utilize.
And would you say that's a quarter mile from?
No, the parking,
I understand
on
the deck, I
Bunnell.
know it very well, thank you. I do. 'Cause
We
I'm
all-
planning on using it. I believe, again, I'm trying to be practical and cooperative. If I have a toddler, if I am elderly and can't walk well, those parking spaces are available to me. But in 95-degree heat or with ice on the ground, I'm very reluctant to use them, even though the town's been generous enough to provide them after I pay for it, but they'll be there. I'm trying to be very practical, and I have a concern, obviously. Okay, let's check and see. But that'll do for now.
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify one other item. When I referred to that quote-unquote parking lot back behind, that actually isn't, that's an area where the movie theater building used to be, and what people have been doing is going through the applicant's property, jumping the curb and parking back there.
What is that telling us?
Well, I'm just saying that it's not a parking lot, it's landlocked except for the applicants going through the applicant's property, which, again, ultimately, when that gets improved as a parking lot for Phase 4, again, will be within the exclusive control of the applicant.
I understand. I think what your statement spoke very loudly here. Thank you.
What's that?
I think your concern and your observation about people jumping and trying to find their way, I don't want that to be a problem in a consistent manner going forward.
Mr. Cohan?
So, Mr. Hale, I want to follow up on a statement you just made about the parking deck. Is that the deck that you're referring to as part of Phase 5?
Yes.
So there will be 22 excess spaces available for this project. There will be
22 dedicated
105 spaces open to the public, and there will be sufficient spaces for the building, for the residential units in Phase 5?
Yes.
Yes.
So how many total spaces are going to be available on the deck?
In how many spaces are in that parking garage total?
Yes.
Do we know that?
Just getting clarification. There's 105 public parking spaces and 107 dedicated resident spaces.
So 212.
Yes.
Thank you.
And out of the 107, there's 22 in excess of what's required for Phase 5.
Any further questions from the board? Follow-up question to what Mr. Cohan just asked. How many units are in Phase 5?
Sorry, 85.
85, okay. I'm going to turn my line of questions more into the traffic flow and what you've calculated in the trip generation. On page 2,
Is this the May 5th or?
Yeah.
yes, May
Yeah,
8th.
Or
Yeah.
June, okay.
Yeah. On page 2, and let me point you to the paragraph right before the header, site access and circulation. So that last paragraph.
Yep.
It states, the letter states, it should also be noted that NJDOT defines the significant increase in traffic as an increase of 100 or more trips in any peak hour, and that the generated trips fall below this threshold, but you calculate 134 as the peak PM, the number of trips for a peak PM hour. So isn't 134
Well-
bigger than 100?
Yes, but what Table 1 compares is what was previously approved with 161 residential units to 199. So this application is to assess, well, what's the difference of what was approved? And that is the increase of 7 trips in that same PM peak hour.
But as a follow-up to that, nothing has been built on the property,
Excuse
correct?
me?
Nothing has been built on the property, correct?
Correct.
So there has not been any trips generated thus far of what has been approved. So I don't know how we can make the comparison of 127 to 134. We're basically going from 0 to 134.
Well, yes, that's true, but what we tried to do in this study was what does the 38 additional units generate, and how does that compare to be an impact to what was already approved? I know what you're saying. Start at 0 because there's nothing on the property, and there's going to be 134. Well, there was actually what was approved was 127. Now that's more than 100 as well. But when you go from 127 to 134, it's really only 7, and it's just to exemplify that it's really just another little increment in it that's not really going to have a great impact. And that was really the point. We're not comparing 0 to 134, we're comparing 127 to 134.
Okay, I just want that established for the record.
Sure.
Because when you go from 0 to 134, it is
100, yep.
it is more than 100,
Yep.
and that is a significant increase in traffic based on NJDOT.
Correct.
And I guess my line of questioning in the second part of that paragraph, too, when you state about the multimodal transportation impact analysis, that a transportation impact study be conducted whenever a proposed development will generate 50 or more added new trips during the adjacent roadway's peak hours or the development peak hour. So you have 90, and you have 90 for the morning peak hour, 134 as the evening peak hour. I would think that would trigger that kind of need, wouldn't it?
Again, I make the same point that what we hear before you is not 0 to 90 or 0 to 134, but it's 76 compared to 90 and 127 compared to 134. And what is that impact? And that's the less than 50, it's less than 100.
So you're going from one, you're comparing one projected to another projected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rather than what's current state right now compared to what you're projecting
Because
for this proposed amended application.
Because that scenario was vetted out when the redevelopment plan was presented and approved. So that's the basis that we're looking at, not 0. We're looking at what the redevelopment plan approved. And that approved those first numbers, 72 and 127.
But, and just to clarify the record, that redevelopment plan had to be amended in order for us to hear this application tonight, correct?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Okay. I also want to go to a statement that you put forth, and I think it is the second paragraph after Table 1. So,
It should be noted, that one?
yeah, it should be noted, it's the final sentence. So you state that trip generation shown in Table 1 will also be lower in reality due to internal trips between residents of the building and the ground floor commercial space. So I know you didn't incorporate it in this table, but how many trip reductions for AM peak hour would that be?
Yeah, we don't know. But
Same thing with PM peak hour, right?
What that pointed out was if this was entirely a residential development, there's going to be people leaving in the morning or coming back in the afternoon that want to go pick up a quart of milk, a loaf of bread, a donut, and coffee. They may not need to leave the site, get in their car, and leave the site because you have that retail potential down below. And you're going to have residents who go shopping in the retail that's down below rather than get in their car and go onto Route 22 to do that shopping. So that was the point, that it's going to be internal trips in the development itself, which happens all the time in mixed-use development. If this was a single-use development, you wouldn't have that. In fact, it's a mixed-use development, you're going to have synergy of internal trips. So the numbers that are in this table are if this was a single develop. Actually, if this was entirely residential. If this was entirely residential, this would you would develop. But the fact that we do have commercial, much of this traffic in Table 1 is going to be internal trips on the site itself.
Yeah, I understand that you made the statement, but didn't generate any numbers to supplement what's in Table 1. But I think it's a statement that should be further examined because, Table 1 focuses on peak hours, AM peak hour and PM peak hour. And so I think anyone would naturally assume when we talk about a peak hour, let's say, for example, AM peak hour, it would be associated more so with commuting to work, dropping off your child at school. So I'm trying to reconcile in my head your claim and basically what do internal trips between residential and commercial space have to do with trips between residential and workplace?
Well, many people work at home, all right? They're not leaving this development at all anyway. But they want to go get a cup of coffee and a donut, and they don't have to get in their car and go somewhere. They go down below, and they walk down the stairs and the elevator, and they go there. That's one less trip. And you take the one less trip off the numbers in Table 1, the numbers go down. So the differential of seven vehicles in the morning may be 6 vehicles in the morning or 5 vehicles in the morning. The point of this is just that this table is conservative. And if we can demonstrate that there's really no significance to what the potential impacts will be, well, we're based on conservative numbers because in reality, they're going to be lower because you're going to have those internal trips in a mixed-use development.
But I think as well, and this is my follow-up question, then, if you have, for example, AM peak hour where they're dropping off their kids, how can you say an internal trip between residential and commercial would replace a parent dropping off their kid at school? That would be part.
I'm not following.
Well,
you, but
wait. If you want me to clarify here, is that part of AM peak hour would probably be trips generated for AM peak hour would probably be generated as a result of a parent dropping off their kid at school, driving and dropping off their kid at school. You're making the claim that internal trips between residents of the building and the ground floor commercial space would contribute to reduction of trips in reality, but those two scenarios are different. So how can you make that claim when there's also another scenario there to contribute to AM peak hour?
Because the trip numbers that we projected in Table 1 are not entirely comprised of parents dropping their children off of school. Are you making that claim? Is that 100% of these trips are kids going to school? Or could they possibly be someone who works at home and wants to go get that cup of coffee? Or could it be someone who goes to work? There's going to be a multitude of reasons why people leave in the morning and people
Right.
come back in the evening. So it's not just the child going to school, it's going to be people who, like I said, who work from home, who don't need, they're definitely going to be a captured customer audience of the retail are going to be the first people are going to utilize that retail are residents of this development. Rather than go to the 7-Eleven or the Wawa a mile or two away, where are they going to go for the staples, that quart of milk, that loaf of bread? They're going to go to a store, if there is a store of that nature, here.
there is a store.
Or a sandwich, or going out to dinner, let's say. They're not going to get in their car to go on to Route 22 to go out to dinner. They'll go down below. So you'll be able to conduct much of your daily activities by walking or taking the elevator downstairs rather than take your car and leave the site.
And that is based under the assumption
It's
that
not-
those,
not-
no. It is,
I'm sorry.
and that is based on your assumption that those type of places would exist right below in that commercial space.
Yes, and it's proven by actual studies. If you need to see those studies, I'm happy to provide them. But the ITE has documented that when you do have mixed development such as this, there is a factor of internal trips. I did not itemize in here because I didn't feel I had to, because we have a low enough increase in traffic that if I lowered it more, what am I proving? I'm just saying that, yeah, it's actually lower than what I'm telling you what it is. So rather than 7, the number is 6 or 5.
The next area that I want, actually, it's the same paragraph that I'm going on. You did touch upon a little bit of public transportation, and you noted here that within a quarter mile of the site there is access to New Jersey Transit bus lines 52, 65, 66, 94, 95, and 114. How many of them actually go into New York City?
Well, I don't know. I probably did know, but I can't tell you.
I know for sure the 114, but I don't think the others are.
Okay.
Right.
Not everybody commutes to New York City.
Okay. All right.
And Mr. Lee, like, again, the numbers are based on no mass transportation factor. So again, it's just a point that put in this paragraph that these numbers are conservative.
Right.
And that goes to
But
Mr.
it's-
Cohen's, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That goes to Mr. Cohen's comment about how does it compare? How does developments, the ITE developments, the ITE trip generation rates compare to reality? And they're much lower in New Jersey, as I said before.
So with 199 proposed units, would you be able to estimate before this board how many would generate commuters that, let's say, would take the 114 bus to New York City?
I'd have to look at the U.S. Census data to get that information, but it's in the U.S. Census data, because the census data tells you what commutation relationships to in Union, and particularly the census tract.
Yeah. And obviously, right now, well, in the center, you only have really the 114 bus that takes you into New York. The only way that you would be taking the train, if you would have to drive down all the way to Union Station to take the train to go into New York. In terms of the line 114 bus, are you aware in terms of the capacity of that bus during morning peak hour or evening peak hour, and whether or not the addition of potential commuters from the property would be sufficient to hold those passengers in the line 114?
No, I don't know that, but like I said, I didn't take any credit for that mass transit. So take the table 1 for face value. If you believe that nobody from this development is ever going to use a bus, or that nobody's ever going to go downstairs and buy something from one of the stores below, then just look at table 1 for its face value. I don't believe that's true. I disagree with you. I believe there's going to be people that utilize buses. maybe not just the 114, they'll may be using the other buses.
Okay.
And there's going to be residents who go downstairs to avail themselves of the store as well. So I believe that these numbers are going to be lower, and that's my only point. So I didn't give you the numbers, I'm not using credit for those numbers. I'm just saying that I can substantiate that there's no impact based on these numbers, and they're actually conservative based on what I just pointed out.
I completely acknowledge that and appreciate that. It's just that the statement has been put forth, and I think it needs proper scrutinizing as a result with that statement being made. But to follow up in terms of the uses of buses, you know, according to the New Jersey Policy Perspective, a recent study indicated that more than half of NJ Transit bus passengers earn less than $35,000 annually. The board knows that there is no affordable units in this application, so how likely would a family or an individual making $35,000 a year be likely to rent an apartment at this site?
I can't answer that. I'm the traffic engineer.
Okay. But just a note on the record.
Good point, though.
Also, I did note here, and just point of information, because I do think a correction needs to be made here. Line 95, the NJ Transit bus line 95, that has been discontinued since April of 2018.
Okay.
So just to point that out there. In addition to what you have for Table 1, with this as a mixed use, with almost 15,000 square feet of commercial space on the first floor, why does your report not include a Saturday peak hour?
Well, what we find is that the traffic volumes on the roadways are less during peaks. Their peaks are less on Saturdays because that traffic is pretty much spread out over a number of hours throughout the day. Weekday, it's really home to work, work to home, schools, and so forth. So they're always condensed within a shorter peak hour and typically higher. So we don't really look at those peak hours. To analyze and assess the retail, now, this parking in this site is not going to be for retail, primarily, if anything. The parking would have to be utilized on street. There's no point access that we could look at, okay, there's going to be 50 retail cars in and out here, 30 over there, and so forth. That'll be spread out through the area in terms of where there'll be parking and or people coming and walking there. So the point being is that how can I establish where those cars are going to be coming to? So I don't believe that the Saturday is going to be is a critical point in analyzing traffic. B, again, I point out again that, listen, we're given the redevelopment plan, we're using that as the basis. The redevelopment plan took a look at what the impacts would be at that time. So did we skip through it and not include it because of that reason? And partly we did. Partly we did, but I believe that we had the right to do it, and it was the proper thing to do in order to analyze it, that we rely upon the redevelopment plan.
Okay. I do want to do a follow-up in some of the questions on that left turn from Morrison to Bonnell Court. And I think we opined a lot of that already. Right now, I think we could establish for the record, and you are aware as well, that there is no traffic light, no stop bar, no stop sign at that intersection of Bonnell and Morris, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I know you provided some level of service grades at the moment. Can you tell us what is the current level of service for the stretch of Morris Avenue from that intersection of Morris and Stuyvesant to Morris and Bonnell?
Not that we analyze it. The levels of service are an analysis. They're the results of doing an actual analysis, a model, computer model of that roadway and intersection, something we had not done.
Okay. And I think it would be fair, and just to build on some of the questions that Mr. Cohen have, is that when you take in consideration of that PM peak hour, and I know you have 75 in trips going into the site, if you are a commuter, and if you are coming from the Garden State Parkway or Route 22, and you're basically working out of town, trying to come back through mainly those two places, maybe Route 78, but Route 78 takes you to the Parkway anyway, would it be fair to say that a lot of commuters that would reside in this proposed site would have to travel northbound to the intersection, northbound on Morris, to go to the intersection of Bonnell and Morris and have to take that left turn as their only option?
Not
Westbound,
Well,
sorry.
yes, the only way to get into the site is through Bunnell and Morris Avenue. That's because it was changed to a one-way, or will be changed to a one-way.
No.
So the only way in is through Morris Avenue, the only way out is to Johnson, through Bunnell.
And if you are a prospect or to-be resident of that property, and if you work out of town, where if you had to take 78, 22, well, we already talked about 22, are there any scenarios in which a commuter would actually travel eastbound on Morris Avenue to make the right on to Bonnell?
Sure, why not? I don't understand, but.
Can you cite several examples?
Would the majority come from, I think logic would be, yes, they'd be coming from the major interstates and Garden State Parkway, probably from the east.
Okay.
And a lesser volume would be coming to and from the west.
And I think that's my understanding as well. And just out of curiosity, have you assessed the current levels of service between that stretch of Morris Avenue and, let's say, from the intersection of Johnson Place, Morris to Bonnell and Morris?
No.
Okay.
Again, I pointed that out, and we did not study that intersection or that roadway at that point.
I might add, I know you're asking a lot of questions, but it's a permitted use under the redevelopment plan, and I'm sure your council and college, off-site traffic impacts are considered when the municipality zones something, and in particular in a redevelopment. So off-site traffic, ingress, what's within the jurisdiction of the board is ingress and egress from the property itself, not from the public roadways. That's part of the redevelopment plan, and there's established case law, I think we've quoted it, the Dunkin' Donuts case, that off-site, where traffic may come in, the redevelopment plan dictates that the ingress and egress from this site must come off of Bunnell and not off Stuyvesant. So that's established in your redevelopment plan, and asking for studies beyond ingress and egress to the site where it empties out onto, we've done above and beyond, but how they ingress and egress off of Morris, whether they're coming east and west on Morris, unfortunately, that was already gone through and vetted by this board and the governing body and your consultants when they adopted the redevelopment plan.
Yes, and Mr. Hale, with respect.
Let me give you a mic.
Thank you. With respect to your logical presentation right there, I believe that Mr. DeNave issued a sort of a broad-based question based knowing well the redevelopment plan and having been part of the negotiations, that at this point in time, when some buildings have been built and some are being proposed, that there's a general concern that a re-examination of our current situation. I won't say that the redevelopment plan, it was based on that, multiple findings. But we will always speak of, and we will love to speak of, quality of life. And I do believe that there's some questions from the general public and even from Mr. DeNave's remarks. I picked up, I maybe mistakenly, but I picked up that there's a serious question about circulation in this area. And yes, I understand and agree with what you said. I respect that. So we won't go so far as to say that, but what I did notice, and I think that it's somewhat significant, is that you did testify, Mr. Steiger, that there were 400 vehicles on Johnson Place and 500 per per hour, I guess,
AM and PM.
yeah. Now, that's a lot of vehicles. And the reason, obviously, I think we obviously can see, the reason they're going to that place is because the only other way to get to the Parkway or any of those major arteries is to go through Stuyvesant Avenue. And then or the cannon, and you slingshot yourself around. This traffic and parking assessment is based on statistics, I understand that. It's based on the calculations and formulas that you must use. And yet, once again, in the practical sense, in my personal opinion, it doesn't satisfy the problems that we have now exhibited in town.
Mr. Denave or Mr. Pasquale, can you provide some clarification on this board in terms of the redevelopment plan regarding deviations?
I didn't hear. What was that?
Yes.
That anything that deviates from the redevelopment plan, there is a specific clause within the redevelopment plan?
One more.
Yeah, we're not getting the full question.
I'm not getting the full, you're just talking to the mic because I lost.
Deviations, from, basically if there's any deviations being put before, that deviates from what is determined in the redevelopment plan. For example, I know that there's no ingress egress on Stuyvesant per the redevelopment plan. However, an applicant can propose that based on the fact that there are deviation clauses within the redevelopment plan itself that allows a board to hear it and potentially consider it, correct?
It's correct.
Yes.
I mean, I believe that there's a general clause in there that says you can deviate from this plan if, now, we've talked about this a few times, but there are layers to that deviation. I mean, it's something I'm sure the governing body would have to also be in favor of. But I believe that probably would be acceptable deviation if you made a modification to the traffic. It's a guidance document, right? So you're giving guidance to the applicant on how to proceed. He proceeds in a certain way. If the board feels that it's not the proper way, and you say, but for this issue, we would approve it, and you say, if you were to come out to Stuyvesant, we'd approve the application, I think that could be brought back to the township committee, and they could probably give a deviation. Or say that's acceptable to us and a deviation might be able to be granted by the board. I don't know how they'd react to that going out to Stuyvesant. I know that wasn't something that the planner thought was a great idea, but I imagine it depends on the configuration, where exactly it entered Sty, stuff like that. But, I do believe that it would be acceptable as a deviation. Traffic, modifications would be acceptable.
Sorry, Mr.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly could ask for deviations to the plan. The question is, what the extent would be. And obviously, the board has a concern about how the impact of the study and whether the studies takes into account the actual impact on the area. And I know the expert is relying upon a study that was done without having looked at it, and that's a concern.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just have just a follow-up regarding the parking. It kind of dawned on me that, when we're talking about the parking that you have on site, and as we're talking through all the parking, indicated that there's 105 public parking spaces that are going to come online, right?
Correct.
That's under the control of the developer, is that correct? So that's
correct,
going to be
yes.
paid parking, and the developer's going to have control of that, so he's going to receive the revenue from that parking garage, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Will that be 2 hour as in the center?
Is-
Metered parking?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So have the standards been set for that? It hasn't?
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine you're going to coordinate with the township on the
Correct.
pricing and the
The
hours and
needs
stuff
and
like
the
that.
like.
Because I know that they have their own parking metering and stuff like that. So it dawned on me, if you're deficient parking, and I think that that's a rolling question, depending on where we are in the development process, is there an ability, and this may, again, be in discussion with the township, so I don't want to put you on the spot here, but would it be possible that if, let's say you're deficient, my count would be, you could be deficient up to 69 minus 22, that's a 47? Is that my mathematics, my specialty? Could you take 47 spaces if they find that there's a problem out of that public parking and designate it to these folks until other alternatives were seen?
That wouldn't be a problem at all.
So then that could be, at least maybe not ideal for the applicant because we're taking away revenue, but if there were a parking problem, he could designate those, of those 105, could designate to his folks until which time a better alternative or Phase 6 is built. So it could be temporary, but it could go in that parking garage.
Not a problem.
It could be done by permits, you know, are you saying, Mr. Navi, you're saying that you would use some of those parking spaces for the residents of phases of the development?
So, one more time,
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I'm sorry, so it could be done by permit. Let's say, rather than putting coins in the meter that he's losing, you could sell a permit and give that to the
No, or
resident.
just designate it for resident parking.
Right.
Yeah, I don't believe it's ideal because you want to have as much public parking as possible.
Yeah, right.
But
if
I'm
need
saying
be,
there
it's-
is
yeah.
the ability to, in close proximity to this, put those residents there during any transition period until, I believe the study's going to have to be done on the whole area.
Yeah.
Right? And that I believe that the developer, as part of this, is going to have to bear some of the responsibility because he's creating some of the parking issues, right? So I think that that's a developing story, and that'll be addressed in Phase 6, that'll be addressed going further. But it is an alternative because he's in control of that parking to say, if there's a problem, you have to designate some of your spaces that you're going to make profit on for your own residents, until which time some other alternative sought. So
That
I'm
would
just
be
throwing
an
that
issue.
out there because I think that he's in control of that parking, that if he creates a problem, that could be a solution to the problem, albeit maybe short term.
Not an issue.
Thank you.
It just seems somewhat counterintuitive to say that we're announcing to the town that there will be 105 parking spaces, and now that, by that temporary process, we're taking away almost half of them. Just thought.
I just had a few remaining questions. So your letter states that you utilize the 11th edition of the Trip Generation Manual. There's a 12th edition. Why wasn't that used?
Because it was May 25th is the date of the letter, and the 12th edition came out in August of this year, and the difference is really there's a minimal distance between the two.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because the ITE, when they announced it, they said they removed all pre-1990 data for improved relevance and accuracy. So have you done any calculations for this based on the 12th edition?
Yes, we did, to compare it to the 11th to see if there was, we at least took a look at the trip rates of the 12th edition to see if they matched the 11th, and the magnitude of 7 additional trips didn't make a difference if you use one or the other.
So why weren't they presented tonight?
I'm presenting them now, because you asked a good question, and I'm presenting it now.
Okay. So what is the AM peak hour?
The same as the table in 1.
Even with removing all pre-1990 trip data?
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
And what is the PM peak hour?
Same. It's the same.
Again, just to confirm, even removing all pre-1990 data that is used in the calculation of that?
Yeah. And yes, that's correct.
I honestly find that hard to believe because traffic volume before 1990 is significantly different compared to today. You take a look at the Federal Highway Administration National Trends Report, 1970 there were 80 million vehicle miles. Today, 251 million.
And what was the population in 1990 versus what it is today? It's grown also.
Of course.
So it's based
Of
on,
course.
you can't base it on the total number of vehicles that are on the road. You have to look at specific development. And I'll say another thing, I never heard of work from home in my life in 1990. I went to a job 9 to 5 every day, and everyone in my office did. Every one of my friends and every acquaintance did the same thing. You don't see that today. So commutation practices are very much different and very much lower than they were in 1990.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because part of the 12th edition, I do believe, was that they factored post-COVID traffic trends as well. So I would think that it would be much better that what we were presented tonight is based on the 12th edition rather than the 11th edition, correct?
No, because the difference between
Because that's what the
7
ITE
vehicles, 7
states.
vehicles, or 5 vehicles, or 9 vehicles, doesn't make the difference in the results, in my opinion of what the impacts would be.
Okay. All right. I think that's it for my questions. Are there any further questions from the board?
I just had a quick question. If you've done the analysis, can you supplement your report with that?
I'm sorry, did I do anything?
I said, if you've done the analysis between the 12th and the 11th edition, can you supplement your report for the board?
I can do that, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I hate to interrupt, but I don't think there's any chance we're going to get to 700
Nope.
Liberty, so my client is patiently waiting with his experts, and I think if we could respectfully request that that formally be adjourned and carried to the November 17th meeting with no further
I would
notice.
make that motion.
Yeah, sorry about the
Second.
interruption. Just
Moved by Mrs. Perkins, seconded by Mr. Cohan. Roll call, please. Oh.
All in favor? All in favor?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Any abstentions for the record? Okay.
sorry for interrupting. Just wanted
I
to
know
let
we're
them.
kind of in the middle of a very deep conversation here. When we conclude, thank you, they gave me a new one. When we conclude this immediate discussion, I'd like to ask for a 10-minute recess.
Sure. Sure. Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Perkins, did you have? Okay. Wait, do we want to recess? Oh, board. 5 minutes? Board will recess for 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For recessing.
Board meeting will now resume. I do believe, well, before that, I would just want to state the record that Ms. Espinoza had to leave early from the meeting, just for the record for...
Ms.
for
Espinoza.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Second, Mr. Hale, just to do some housekeeping, I know that there's the second application for Diana Yoon.
Yeah, actually, Trevor was going to handle that, but unfortunately due to the hour.
Yep.
To 700. She's disappointed, but looking forward to a hearing next month. The present applicant will also be carried.
Yep.
See how the 17th rolls. I don't think we're close on any of the time periods on any of them. No.
Oh.
I'm on board. I wore it out.
Battery died. Here.
Okay.
So on any of the applications, I don't think we're close to the 120 time period for decision, but if any extensions are required, we stipulate to those.
Okay. Can someone make a motion to carry over the 2117 Springfield Avenue application to the November 17th meeting without further notice?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan, seconded by Mrs. Khan. Roll call, please.
All right, I'll use this in the meantime. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes?
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Ms. Khan? Yes. Chairman Lake?
Thank you again. Is this working?
That belongs to Jim.
You're, okay.
I think where we concluded before recess is we concluded Mr. Stuckert's testimony, and we're going to proceed with the planner, right?
We have our professional planner, Mr. Nicholas Graviano.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Pasquale?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's way in the back over there.
Can you state your last name and spell it for the record, please?
Yes, my first name is Nicholas with an H, last name Graviano, G-R-A-V as in Victor, I-A-N-O.
Mr. Graviano, would you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Graviano, as with, I think, all of our previous witnesses, you've been before this board on many occasions, but if you could provide your credentials and confirm that your licenses are in full force and effect.
Yes, hold a bachelor's degree from Rutgers University, a master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers University, a law degree from the Temple University School of Law. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, hold an AICP certification. I've been qualified by this board and the zoning board on dozens of occasions over the years.
Board stipulates.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Right.
Chairman. Always a pleasure being here.
Mr. Graviano, I know you've been working on the various phases of this development in downtown Union. If you could please provide an overview of the planning, the result of your planning investigation and consistency with the redevelopment plan and amended plan.
Certainly. As the board knows, the applicant is before the board this evening requesting amended preliminary and final site plan approval, as well as 2 C variances for a specific piece of property known as Block 2903, Lot 10.01, 11.01, and 25.01. That is a 2.31 acre parcel in the Stuyvesant Avenue redevelopment plan. The project is part of Phase 4 of the project. The applicant, as stated previously, did receive previously approval, which granted the 1 variance that the applicant is requesting this evening for the excessive impervious coverage, whereas 85% is permitted, 95% is proposed, and is the governing impervious coverage for this site as we exist today. You heard the applicant's proposal this evening. The applicant is seeking to add additional dwelling units and additional floor to the previously approved dwelling. Both scenarios are permitted by the redevelopment plan. Additionally, the applicant seeks to add roughly 4,200 square feet of commercial space and an additional 1,000 square feet to the amenity space for the residents. The second variance being requested by the applicant this evening relates to the building separation, and it's really a technicality because the design of the building does meet the spirit and intent to provide building separation in the redevelopment plan. As you saw previously, it's really the two corners of the building which require this variance. The facades of these buildings meet all required air and open space as per building code. Building code only requires a 30-foot building separation as per the applicant's architect. The applicant is providing 50.5 feet. So this is in excess of minimum building code requirements. And as I stated, it meets the spirit of the light, air, and open space because it's corner to corner. The front of these windows are not facing on other buildings. Relief in this scenario certainly could be granted under the C2 criteria. And as all the time away from your family and friends have taught you, C2 variances do not require hardship. There is a 5-pronged test for the granting of a C2 variance. The first prong is that it relates to a specific piece of property. Here you have a 2.31 acre parcel. It's within the Stuyvesant Avenue redevelopment plan. It was previously granted site plan approval. Second prong relates to the purposes of zoning of the municipal land use law. This proposal meets 3 purposes of zoning of the municipal land use law. Specifically, purpose A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use of lands in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. This is the strengthening of the township's commercial and residential base. It furthers not only the master plan objectives, but the objectives of the redevelopment plan, and it's a project which effectuates the redevelopment plan for Phase 4. Moving on, it advances purpose G to provide sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of residential and commercial uses to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. These are permitted uses as per the redevelopment plan and the master plan. The previously approved project did grant the impervious coverage situation, so this has certainly been deemed to provide sufficient space for the use that's before the board this evening. And then lastly, this project promotes a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. That's purpose I of the municipal land use law. And you heard in the architectural testimony and the engineering testimony the benefits of this building addition in that it shields the parking lot from views from not only this site, but from off-site properties adjacent to the site. The third prong relates to the variance being able to be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. As you heard in previous testimony, there's adequate drainage design for the site. 2 professional engineers have determined that as per the municipality's parking regulations and the redevelopment plan, there is adequate parking to serve the community. The residents will be assigned parking. Each resident will have their own dedicated parking space. And there's adequate light, air, and open space between the buildings, and is actually an improvement to established development pattern of the neighborhood. The fourth prong states that the benefits of the deviation would substantially outweigh any detriments. The improved aesthetics as well as the improved living situation for the proposed residents certainly outweighs the minimal relief being requested for building separation. Then the last prong relates to the variance not substantially impairing the intent and purpose of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. And here, the deviations do not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the redevelopment plan or the master plan. When looking at the master plan, it states that the downtown center district is characterized by high-density development and a variety of different uses located at the heart of Union Center, where living spaces are located within walking distance of daily needs. Goes on to state that the downtown core contains a diverse mix of residential and commercial uses. designed to support both day and evening activity. Now, getting to the part in the master plan about this specific area and the parking, it says parking or automobile activity should not be the visual centerpiece of the development and is located either behind the structure or through shared arrangements between other property owners. Here you have a request by the applicant to shield the parking as per the master plan. The redevelopment plan addendum in 2018, page 8, also makes that same desire to shield the parking through buildings and retail frontages. This is an application that accomplishes both the objectives of the master plan and the redevelopment plan. So this is a proposal that actually advances the purposes and goals of the master plan and the redevelopment plan. So in summary, these two very minor deviations from the redevelopment plan can be granted under the C2 criteria, advancing purposes of zoning A, G, and I without substantial impairment to the redevelopment plan or the master plan of the municipality.
Thank you, Mr. Graviano. Mr. Chairman, no further questions at this time.
Questions from the board?
Mr. Graviano, in your assessment of the property, do you have any estimate as to the number of children that might be resident in these properties that would then be students in the public schools?
I don't have calculations. It's a very valid question, although it's not relevant to the analysis before the board this evening. The applicant is not requesting any density relief in this. It is a scenario which is permitted by the redevelopment plan.
I can answer that, however, we did check it. Out of the 187 apartments, at the present time, there's 6 school-aged children.
Of the current 187?
187, there's 6 children.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have no further witnesses this evening. Obviously, anyone that has testified here before is available to answer questions from the board.
Okay. Would you like to sum up?
Yeah, I'll briefly sum up. Mr. Chairman, board members, and we appreciate your time, board professionals, and staff, said this is a very minor amendment to what was approved by this board and codified in the redevelopment plan, the amended redevelopment plan, with the input from this board and the adoption of the original redevelopment plan and the amended redevelopment plan by the Township Committee. What we're looking to do here, as I said, is add 38 more units. But the benefits of adding those units we described were shielding the parking area. It meets other than those 2 minor deviations, all of the criteria of the redevelopment plan. I understand the concerns about parking and traffic, but that was all taken into consideration when you developed the redevelopment. You, in conjunction with the Township Committee, developed the redevelopment plan. The benefits of this small addition, again, shielding the parking, adding the additional floor, which was encouraged under the amendment to the redevelopment plan. It helps pave the way for the redevelopment of the corner parcel, and that's all part and parcel of that, and part of this extension and shielding of the parking. And I think we showed some of the designs when I was in the conference session last month about the development of the corner. This is an important piece of that, and we feel that again, the benefits and the larger commercial space, hopefully attracting better tenants. It's a minor change of request. And just as far as timing, we know that this has been on the agenda for quite some time. The applicant already has his building permits for what's been approved by this board. Footings have been started, and we would certainly appreciate if the board would entertain and approve the application as submitted. If there's reasonable conditions that you want to impose, and we can discuss those, that's understandable, but we have to go moving on this project. Like I said, construction has already started, and we think that amended 4 is better than original 4. Very small change. I know there was concern about parking and traffic and the like, but realize All of it's approved except for an additional 38 units, which again is contemplated under the amended redevelopment plan for this section. This board, I think it was at the last hearing, endorsed the expansion of the redevelopment area into the corner of Morris and Stuyvesant, which will pave the way for Phase 6. But again, this amended Phase 4 blends right into that and will play a part of that. And I think when I showed some exhibits of that corner, you saw how that extension building fit right in and was part and parcel of that, and again, helped shield the parking from the development of that end. So very minor change. Mr. Chairman, I truly respect the questions that you had for our traffic engineer, but again, the focus is the 38 additional units and the minimal impact that has both on parking and on traffic and on yet an important piece of the development of this area of town. So with that said, we would look forward to the board granting this application. Again, if you wanted to have some dialogue on reasonable conditions that the applicant may agree to, but we want to get rolling on, well, he's rolling on this already, and we want to roll with this amended plan as opposed to what this board previously approved. So thank you for your time and consideration. Here to answer any additional questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hale. We'll now go to comments from the board.
You want me to start? Okay. Well, listen. Let me preface my remarks by saying I was not seated on this board for the redevelopment plan, nor the original approval of the first Phase 4 application. So I'm just going to make my judgments based upon what I've seen in the application, what I've heard in testimony tonight. But I also want to make some general comments. As a planning board, I think we have a responsibility to think about long-term implications of any development in this community. And any one application can't be considered in a vacuum. I've heard the testimony about this application is consistent with the redevelopment plan, it's consistent with the overarching goals of the community, and I'm sensitive to the economic factors and needs of the applicant. Our goal was always, and frankly, I recall this is probably a 30-year project. I can recall arguments about the vitality of Union Center from the 90s. But one of those overarching objectives is also to make sure that we not only have residents from a mixed-use development, but people from all over the community. There's 60,000 people in this community. And if we want to attract them to the center, there's got to be a place for them to park, right? They're not going to take public transportation to come here if they live in the Townley section or the Larchmont section or Battle Hill. They're going to drive their vehicles, and there has to be some place to put them. The testimony from the traffic engineer was compelling, but it doesn't satisfy my concerns about the total number of spaces. There may be an adequate number of spaces for the residents in the application, but if we take up any spaces from that deck of the 105 parking spaces, that means there's no spaces for the public. And there needs to be. And I just think that it's disingenuous to say that we can meet the requirements of this application with some spaces that are going to go away in Phase 6, and we'll deal with them in Phase 6. We're not going to have only Phase 4 and Phase 6. We're going to have them both. And we have to think about the parking for the entire Union Center area in the context of our deliberations on this application. I heard the term earlier, I don't know whether it was one of my colleagues on the board or one of the witnesses say that, it's a leap of faith. I'm not prepared to make that leap of faith yet, personally. I want to see more to make sure that if we approve this application, that down the road, we're not going to be faced with an exacerbation of some current, very real problems. just at the beginning of this meeting. 3 of my colleagues on this board were a little late getting into the room because they couldn't find a place to park, right? Driving through Union Center an hour before the meeting start, I encountered gridlock on Stuyvesant Avenue and one of the adjacent streets because in one instance there was a truck making a delivery with blocking a lane in Stuyvesant Avenue. And in another instance, on a side street, there was a car waiting to occupy a soon-to-be vacant parking space. It stopped all traffic. So if we're going to add another 199 units, or in terms of this application, another 38 units, it's only going to make current conditions worse. And I just feel that it's incumbent upon this board to make sure that we think about all those issues in the context of our approval of this application, which I think is in the interest of the community, but as it's currently presented, I'm not ready. I need to see more. Thank you.
Further comments? Mrs. Perkins?
I think perhaps, Mr. Cohen, piggybacking on what you're thinking and saying, I would like this board to ask for an independent study done by the township of the current traffic and parking conditions as they exist now, with the understanding that this application numbers apply as well. I think that, the situations that we've all encountered, I believe we're seeing more backup traffic trying to get through to various places through Union Center. They very much want to occupy and help look into those nice new stores that are now there. With this application, it's my understanding that there are 0 parking spaces allotted for those fine commercial units, which will surely be there. So I'd like to ask for an independent study, and I don't know whether the rest of the board would like to agree to that or how that would be done. Perhaps you might help us?
I guess the question would be, would the applicant be willing to provide that study that she's requested?
Well, I was going to ask for an independent study done by the
Right.
township itself.
We can request that.
Not for 38 units.
I think let's wrap up on this, and we can then revisit after whatever action this board takes on this application.
Okay.
Is that fair enough? Further comments? Mr. Frame, do you have a comment?
Mr. Hale. Thank you for your time tonight. My question is there any way humanly possible that there could be some type of means of egress on Stuyvesant Avenue? Is there any way?
Well, you're asking me that question, and it came up, and I don't mean to interrupt your deliberations, but while there was discussion of that deviation, that redevelopment plan clearly states there shall not be an ingress and egress from Stuyvesant. And I think when Kristen Russell was here last month and was discussed, when you look at the ultimate development of the corner parcel, you want to make that a pedestrian thoroughfare. You don't want people walking down Stuyvesant Avenue and having to stop. Look at when Unity Bank was there and you had cars coming across, especially in this downtown. You want that to be walkable. The applicant doesn't feel that it works with the redevelopment of downtown, especially, and you saw some of the photos or renderings that we had for that corner. The last thing you want is somebody walking along Stuyvesant in front of the brand new facade and having cars come and go, even if possibly the county and the state would even allow a curb cut that close to Morris. So I respect that question, but that was fully vetted out during the redevelopment process.
Now, your client owns I call them the Fran Meta buildings? No?
No,
Okay. There isn't any development going on over there, as far as you know? Okay.
not at this time, no.
Okay.
And I know I don't know if it was in conference or out here, you may have asked, I think it was out in the public session.
Yes.
Could there be out to Johnston? No, it's out of the redevelopment plan area and not owned by the applicant.
Thanks.
So, you got it.
Any other further comments? I'll be brief with my comment. First, we know that this is an important investment into the town center. And so even though we kind of battered you guys tonight, and we do acknowledge that, I don't think should take a firm interpretation of our direction as a board in a decisive decision on where we stand. So I want to make that clear. I think it's just because the magnitude of the development and for where it is at and where it's located, that we want to do our due diligence, that we want to establish as clear as possible what kind of impact it will be, and to reiterate the negative criteria to ensure that there is not substantial detriment to the public good, right? So I don't think that this board is here yet to make a decision based on, I think, clarifications that we need, further information and data that we've established for the record. That's my feeling. I know it's Mr. Cohan's feeling. I think a lot of other board members share in that regard. I don't think we're here at the moment to make a decision just yet. And that's all I have to say. Yeah.
And I believe the traffic engineer had indicated he would supplement his numbers to provide us the updated detail.
If you want, I could maybe take...
No, it's 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock. We can't hear any further.
No, I just wanted to talk to them for a second. Okay. I'll take a break. Steiger testified that there was no substantial change in 11 to 12, and while the applicant, as I said in my closing statement, if there's reasonable conditions that the board wanted to put, if not, we're prepared to hear the board's decision, and if it's in the negative, we're prepared. As I said, we're already starting construction on 4 as approved, and we'll just move ahead that way. So we appreciate the feedback, though.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, at this point in time, then, who are you motioning to? Were you trying to get hold of Mr. Denavi?
No, I think you...
Yeah, I just think that I'd like to carry this to the next meeting so that we can look further, review, and consider all the testimony that was here tonight, and any additional data that can be provided or that the township could vet for us. I would love to see a full study done by the township that would allow for a study of parking and circulation. Because as we've heard in testimony, Mr. Steiger's fine remarks were based on a like condition, not on our actual conditions. And to stand on integrity, I believe I'd like to have it carried for more time.
So I think the motion is just to carry this over to the next...
Yeah, I'm sorry, just one point of clarification. Did you indicate that you're going to withdraw the application?
Yeah, the applicant, if the decision is to carry it, will simply withdraw the application and proceed to construct 4 as approved.
So...
And that's
Mr.
not
Hale,
our we've got to get going on
no
this.
disrespect,
It's been months.
but let me just ask, if he withdraws the application, he'd have to resubmit the application, is that correct?
Yes. No, they wouldn't. It's already approved. We've already started construction on 4.
All right.
If you wanted to go back to this, you'd have to resubmit.
If you wanted to come back to it, but you're saying you wouldn't come back to it?
No.
The,
Said, well,
the
if there
down...
are reasonable conditions that the board wanted to impose.
Well, that's why I think we should have time to think it through and construct with negotiation, perhaps, reasonable conditions that everyone could live with and accept, that would be responsible to our constituents.
Are there conditions?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Are there conditions that you would, having heard the board's concerns, are there conditions that your client would agree to?
Yeah, I mean,
before we start asking for them?
talking about having a regional traffic study, a regional parking study, that's all done as part of your redevelopment plan. And unfortunately, my instructions from my client are, he has to go get moving on this application and.
And you understand that your own traffic engineer testified that when Phase 6 comes along, as the application is currently designed, you don't have enough parking. And is there a resolution
If
for
that
being offered?
moves forward, we'll cross that bridge at that time.
So, Mr. Hale, if you don't withdraw the application and we were to continue to the next meeting, and at some point during that next couple of weeks, you decide that you're going to move forward with you're going to move forward with construction, what's the difference? Why would you withdraw? I mean, it would give them opportunity. I'd like to have the opportunity to talk to the administration and see if there's anything that they could do with the study or something that they can give to the, whether it be talk to the their traffic department.
Unfortunately, we're under strict time constraints with our financing, and the lender is waiting to see, are they going to finance 4 as approved or amended 4? And my client, we simply can't wait. And I know it sounds like it's only another month, but, so.
Could we consider a special meeting then? Which would be less than a month, perhaps.
I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not here the 4th of July. The 10th is a holiday. Would have to be another night, not Thursday, unless the 11th.
I've talked to my client. If the board wants to carry the application to next month, we'll agree to that, but we may be in short order based upon our discussions with our contractors and our lenders. Unfortunately, need to submit a letter withdrawing the application rather than me doing it this evening.
Yeah, it's not so clear to
Okay,
us.
that we won't withdraw the application
Tonight.
right now.
Okay.
And we will consent to the adjournment, I guess at this point, to the November 17th hearing, but depending upon our discussions with our contractor and our lender, we may be forced to send a letter withdrawing the amended 4 and
That's
just
fair.
proceed with
That's
the
fair.
approved 4.
That's fair.
And I'm not,
I understand.
believe me.
I understand.
Yeah, I've been doing this
Yeah, I think
for
that one of the
40-something
things-
years. So.
One of the things that we must acknowledge among all of us is that we certainly don't want the current underdeveloped, and using a very harsh term, the blighted area that's not quite finished, to stay that way. We want a beautiful center. We want a center that's functional. We very much appreciate the investment, the time, and the significant processing that has already occurred. So this is not to be harsh and off with anyone's head, but I think that if there were a little more time allowed to carry, we want to see him stay as our developer, and I believe that we can negotiate and work together to come up with something that will reflect the good of everyone, and again, though you've testified, agree with the development redevelopment plan. So I would ask that you grant that carry. If a special meeting would assist, should conditions change for the developer relative to contracts and so forth, I would certainly request a special meeting, and we could have those further discussions. But I would request that we all continue to work together to make what's good for our town good.
Let's hope that we can get some cooperation from our construction financing.
So I think with that, let's move forward with the carry motion.
I think I might not have said it clearly, but you did assist. So that at this point in time, I would like to make the motion that this application be carried to our next meeting with the understanding that should situations develop which require a special meeting, that could be requested, rather than withdrawal of the application.
Okay,
That's
is
my motion.
there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cohan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes?
Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell? Sorry. Ms. Khan? Yes. Chairman Lay?
Yes. I want to say thank you for your
thank you.
patience. And this is not an easy application, and I just want to commend you for advocating for your client and doing it so well. You know, there's a reason why you're before this board a lot, because you do your job very well. So I just want to note
As
that.
to all of you.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Cohan?
Yes, I'd like to move that this board request that the township administration contract with a provider to do a comprehensive study of traffic flow, parking, and the implications for quality of life for all residents in the community as soon as possible.
Is there a second on that?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Mrs. Khan. Any discussion on this motion?
To clarify,
Yep.
traffic overall, but focused on the Union Center core.
Okay. Any discussion on this matter? Can you speak in the mic?
It has nothing to do with this, it's just in general you're asking.
That is correct. It is a general study. It is not to be a dependency on the application that we just heard. Any further questions? No. Okay. Roll call, please.
Okay, now you want it ordered. Okay, Mr. Alexander? Yes. Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes?
Mayor Bowser? Yes. Committeewoman Terrell? Ms. Khan? Chairman Lay?
Yes.
Move to adjourn.
I need a wording on
Move
that.
to adjourn. Is there a second?
What is that that I took?
Seconded by Mr. Alexander. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. Meeting adjourned.